up today, Chinese President Xi Jinping reiterates Beijing's opposition to North Korea's nuclear missile programs, but tells Seoul his country is also against the planned deployment to South Korea of a US missile defense system. North Korea's Assembly awards leader Kim Jongun a fresh title. He's now the head of a newly created state body, further tightening his grip on power. First, US President Barack Obama tells his Turkish counterpart that the United States stands with the people of Turkey after the suicide bombings at Istanbul's main airport. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world. It's 6 a.m. on Thursday, June 30th here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. We are going to start with Seoul's efforts to build support for its North Korea policy. South Korean Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn held talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Wednesday in Beijing, wrapping up his 5-day trip to China. Key agenda items were North Korea's nuclear ambitions, China's illegal fishing in South Korean waters, and a US missile defense system. Oh Soo-young starts us off.
South Korea and China have strongly reaffirmed their stance against North Korea's recent missile provocations and its ongoing nuclear program. Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn met with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Wednesday in Beijing, where they largely discussed how they'll cooperate on measures against Pyongyang's provocations. President Xi told Hwang that China does not accept the North as a nuclear state, nor its so-called Pyeongjin policy, which simultaneously pursues nuclear and economic development. He added that China is fully abiding by the latest UN Security Council resolution, which requires all UN member states to submit a report on how they're applying sanctions on the North, which Beijing recently did on Tuesday. Prime Minister Hwang emphasized the importance of such measures, putting UN resolutions into action, as well as ramping up pressure on Pyongyang. However, when it came to the issue of deploying the United States Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, or THAAD, to South Korea, President Xi expressed his concerns, urging Seoul to take Beijing's rightful security concerns into consideration. Moving on to other issues, the two officials picked up where Hwang had left off with Premier Lee Ka-chang the day before, on China's illegal fishing activities in South Korean waters. President Xi said that China is making efforts to resolve the problem, but that time is needed due to administrative constraints. In terms of economic cooperation, Prime Minister Hwang and President Xi agreed to combine efforts on Brexit-related measures at an upcoming G20 meeting, as well as accelerate the implementation of the South Korea-China FTA and the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank.
I hope these talks will contribute to regional security and common prosperity.
South Korea and China are closely communicating and pursuing common gain within the international community.
During the 40-minute meeting, Hwang and Xi also discussed ways to deepen cultural, educational and academic ties, as well as promote further exchanges between high-level government officials. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Now, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un keeps racking up the official titles. This time, the regime has named him chairman of a newly formed state organization. For more on the latest move to further cement Kim's grip on power, here's our Connie Kim.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has been given a new title as chairman of the Committee of State Affairs after a major parliamentary meeting on Wednesday, a move that'll give him complete control over government organizations and the party. The North Korean Central Television reported Wednesday that Kim has been elected chairman of a new state organ, the highest level in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. 5 other items that were discussed were revising the constitution, carrying out the 5-year economic development plan laid out during the Landmark Party Congress, discussing the Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea and Government Organization. The Assembly is the highest branch of state power in North Korea that establishes basic principles for domestic and foreign policy, adopts a state budget, and approves decisions by the state leadership. The parliamentary meeting has garnered special attention as the party members were due to decide on follow-up measures subsequent to the North's largest convention last month. Most North Korea watchers say Kim's new position will cement his control in the long term and will closely monitor how the newly established state organ will affect the regime's political landscape. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Now, the co-leaders of South Korea's minor opposition People's Party have stepped down to take responsibility for a growing corruption scandal involving their lawmakers. The shock announcement comes as the nation's ruling and main opposition parties are also under fire for the nepotism within their ranks. Park Ji-won reports.
The surprising announcement was made Wednesday morning following a closed-door meeting among party officials that went on for 3 hours. People's Party officials reportedly tried to persuade An Cheol-soo and Chun Jung-bae not to resign, saying they should stay to resolve the scandal, but were unable to change their minds. The two People's Party co-founders said they are taking full responsibility for the corruption allegations leveled at two of the party's lawmakers, Park Sun-suk and Kim Soo-min. The two are currently under investigation over allegations that they forged contracts with PR agencies and received tens of thousands of dollars in kickbacks.
The two of us resigned from our posts to take responsibility for the situation. We will continue to dedicate ourselves to the party and to bring about a change in government.
I believe I should bear all the political responsibility for this matter. I resign as I take all responsibility. I'd like to urge you to ensure the People's Party never loses sight of its initial mission.
An and Chun founded together the centrist party in February, and the party was planning to hold its first convention early next year, fueling expectations that An would run in the 2017 presidential election. But with An and Chun now gone, the party's floor leader and veteran politician Park Ji-won was appointed new interim leader of the party. And it's not only the People's Party that's mired in corruption allegations. The ruling Saenuri Party and the main opposition, the Minju Party, are also currently being harshly criticized by the public because their lawmakers are under the microscope for hiring family members as aides or interns. The main opposition Minju Party's two-term lawmaker Seo Young-gyo has been under fire since earlier this month, as she was found to have hired her daughter as an intern and her brother as the paid chair of her supporters association. Meanwhile, ruling Conservative Party's two-term lawmaker Park In-suk is also under scrutiny for hiring close relatives as a secretary and an intern. The leaderships of both parties vowed to fairly punish their lawmakers' actions and vowed to work on setting the example with transparent policies that will keep the parliament from being stained with corrupt actions like nepotism. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
President Park Geun-hye has been following up on the progress of her customized welfare policy in the western port city of Incheon. There's a company at the city's international airport which has implemented a flexitime system designed to give employees, especially working mothers, room to find a better work-life balance. Our presidential office correspondent Song Ji-son reports.
This airline ticketing company at Incheon International Airport operates around the clock. The majority of the employees, or 80%, are women, and all are guaranteed maternity leave and flex time schedules when they return to work. Under the flex time system, their status as regular employees and their welfare benefits won't change, giving them job security with fewer working hours.
This was a job I was used to, so I was comfortable when I got back. As I don't have to work long hours, the flex time system gives me more physical strength and personal time for raising my children.
이런 이게 정착이 되면은 직장을 그만두지 않고도 일과 가정을 양립할 수가 있고 또 그 중장년층에게는 어떤 새로운 일자리 창출에도 도움이 되고 그래서 여러 면으로 볼 때 이 일은 좀 계속 시스템을 구축하는데 우리가 힘을 많이 기울이고 지원도 더 많이 해야 되겠다는 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Over 11,000 Korean workers made use of the flextime system last year, and that number is expected to grow by 30% this year, in tandem with a 30% budget increase to $35 million.
President Park hinted that the government is reviewing the possibility of increasing its subsidy so that more people can participate in the program. In the meantime, she'll continue to check up on how the government's policies are taking effect out in the field. 송지선, Arirang News.
Istanbul's main airport has reopened following Tuesday's horrific terror attack that killed more than 40 people and injured hundreds more. Hwang Ho-jun with the details.
Gunfire and a series of deadly explosions ripped through Istanbul Ataturk Airport Tuesday evening, resulting in scores of casualties. Despite the carnage, the airport resumed operations at 10 a.m. Korea time, although many of the flights were cancelled or delayed. It all started when 3 bombers exchanged gunfire with security guards and then blew themselves up at the entry to the terminal. Latest reports say 41 people were killed and nearly 240 injured by the attack. 109 are still hospitalized. This attack has become the deadliest one yet in Turkey. At an emergency meeting after the attack, the Korean government announced that 5 people have been reported missing since the incident. The safety of 2 has been confirmed, and the government is in the process of investigating the other 3. Ankara informed the Korean government on Wednesday that there were no Koreans among the victims. Seoul will still take caution until it has bulletproof certainty.
We're in close contact with Turkey and trying to find out if any harm was done to our people using all routes possible. So far, no reports of casualties have been made.
Turkey has been rocked by a series of attacks carried out both by the Islamic State and Kurdish militant separatists over the past year. But U.S. officials and local media are saying the signs this time are pointing to the Islamic State, especially as the attack took place a day prior to the 2nd anniversary of the militant group's declaration of its caliphate. Condemnation of the attack has been pouring in from around the world. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon expressed his condolences to the victims' families and said he hoped the perpetrators would be brought to justice. Washington also said it remains steadfast in supporting Turkey and has vowed to combat the threat of terrorism. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
US President Barack Obama has indirectly blamed the Islamic State militant group for Tuesday's terrorist attack in Istanbul. Speaking to reporters in Canada on Wednesday, Obama called the carnage an indication of how little these vicious organizations have to offer. He added that the US stands with the people of Turkey and intends to do what is necessary to prevent such terrible events. Although ISIS has not claimed responsibility for the attack, US lawmakers say the airport attack mirrors tactics previously employed by the jihadist group. EU leaders have delivered yet another tough message to Britain, saying the UK can access the bloc's lucrative single market only if it agrees to allow free movement for EU workers. The message came during the 2nd day of a leaders' summit in Brussels, this time without Britain's involvement. This free movement of workers is one of 4 freedoms, along with movement of capital, goods and services, that the EU says must be maintained by any country that wants access to its common market. The 27 leaders added a line to their summit statement at the last minute, emphasising that principle. They also reiterated their call on Britain to trigger the EU's exit clause by notifying them of its intention to withdraw, which would start a 2-year clock to negotiate its exit. British Prime Minister David Cameron has been saying that this notification is up to his successor, who will replace him in the next few months. Now, if you're a fan of zombie thrillers and Korean cinema, Train to Busan is everything you could hope for. After receiving rave reviews at the Cannes Film Festival in May, it raked in over $2.5 million in global pre-sales. Ian Shin gives us a sneak peek.
Korean thriller Train to Busan has been successfully pre-sold in 156 countries around the globe. Since its midnight screening at the 69th Cannes Film Festival back in May, film investors from countries including the US, Canada, France, and China have been reaching out to purchase theatrical rights for the film. Global pre-sales of the movie have so far grossed over $2.5 million. Directed by Yeon Sang-ho, Train to Busan portrays passengers' horrifying train ride with a group of zombies that carry a deadly virus. Through their desperate struggle to survive and to prevent the spread of the virus, the film is meant to convey a thought-provoking social message for the viewers. So far, the thriller has received very positive reviews from critics and movie enthusiasts, including a rating of 7.1 out of 10 on the IMDb website.
So, Train to Busan, which is clever, it's a well-put-together film, and I think it's not as violent as some people might expect from a zombie film. A strong genre title, appealing elements that is poised to do well at the local box office, as well as in a limited way getting some penetration into foreign markets.
Local movie investors added the movie will bring in additional profit from theatrical releases around the world. The movie will be available at local theaters on the 20th of July. It'll also be released in the US in July and France in August. Lee Eun-shin, Arirang News.
Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for watching. We'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. Our next scheduled bulletin coming up at 10 a.m. Korea time. So until then, goodbye.